discuss different types of loops. So before we start, different loop statements, different looping techniques. What loop is basically? Loop means using this concept we can execute a set of statement repeatedly without declaring or without writing the statement multiple times. For example, if we want to take input of multiple numbers, then one way is that we can write the input statement multiple times. For example, this is one input statement. Using this statement, we can take only one input. Now, if we want to take multiple inputs, more than one inputs, so what we have to do? We have to write in that way. Multiple times we have to write the scanf statement. So for 2 input we write the scanf statement 2 times. If we want to take 10 inputs, we have to write the scanf statement 10 times. Now, if we want to take a huge number of input, for that we have to write the scanf statement huge number of time, which is basically increasing the number of statement in a program, as well as it will create the programming complexity. So what we have to do, instead of writing the same statement, because here for taking the input we are performing basically the similar task. This statement we are using for input, this statement we are using for input, this statement we are using for input. So that means all the statements which we are writing repeatedly, all the statements are for the same purpose. All the statements we are using for input purpose. So for performing one particular task, we are writing the statement multiple times. Now here we have to just change the concept. What the concept we have to change? That we will write the statement only once and we will use the statement multiple times, or we will execute the statement multiple times. For example, what we do, if we use a pen which is not a use and throw pen, so basically what we do, we have a refill, if we consider this marker pen, okay. So what we have to do, whenever the marker is empty or it is the marker is not in working mode, the ink is completed, no ink is there, what we have to do, we will throw the marker out and we will take another marker. Okay, that is one process. That whenever the marker is done, just throw the marker and use another marker pen. This is one process. Another process is that this marker will be there. Whenever the ink will be completed, no ink will be there, I will refill the ink, but I will not change the marker. So the marker will remain same, because if I throw this marker and bring a new marker, both the purpose of markers are same. But here what I am doing, I am not changing the marker. The marker will remain same. I am not changing it. Just I am refilling the marker. Whenever it will be required, I will refill the marker. Whenever it will be required, I will refill the marker. Okay. So I am not changing the statement. But what I am doing, I am using the same statement again and again. I am using the same statement repeatedly just by adding ink into it. So here also we are going to do the same thing. I will execute this statement multiple times just by adding some additional feature into it, and that feature is called looping. So what I will do, all the looping statement we are going to discuss in details. So So what I will do, I will write the statement only once. Okay. Now here I create a loop. Here I create a loop, and this statement I have written inside the loop. This statement I have written inside the loop. And loop means, that means this statement, the loop means it will come here, execute the statement. When it will be completed, again it will get back to here. Okay. So it will start the loop, execute, end, again start the loop. So that is called basically loop statement. And here there will be a condition depending on which we will stop the loop. Depending on which we stop the loop. That means if a loop will start, it will not execute infinite time. We have to stop the loop. So for that we will apply a condition. We will apply a condition. Okay. So in every loop basically we have three components. What the components are? The components are, number one component is initialization. Number two component is condition, must be there. And number three is either increment or decrement depending on the program. So these are the main three components that every loop should have. Every loop should have. Now I will gradually come into all the components. Looping means a particular statement or set of statement will be executed multiple times. Now here we have to count the number of execution. We have to control the number of execution, because I have said that if we execute a block of statement, that block of statement will be executed a limited time. Okay, it will not execute infinite time. Then the program will lead to an infinite loop, and it will not work basically. So we have to control the execution. We have to control the execution, that how many times this statement will be executed. If I want to take input of 10 number, if I want to take input of 10 number, then the input statement will execute 10 times, not more than that, not less than that. If I want to take input of 100 number, then the input statement will execute 100 times, not more than that, not less than that. So this situation, that how many times it is going to execute, that we have to control. Okay. So basically using this component, we are getting this control. So how we control basically? So if I say anybody that you have to count 10, you have to count 10. So what will you do? We will start from a point. Okay. Every counting should have a starting point, should have an ending point. That if I say you have to count 1 to 10, so I will count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in that way. So every counting should have a starting point and should have a ending point. Okay. So this initialization basically giving us the starting point of the count, and the condition is basically giving the ending point of the count. So initialization, through initialization we get the start of the counting, and through condition we get the end. Okay. And increment, decrement is basically change the value. Change the value. Change the value means how we can change the value? That the first value is 1, second count is 2, then the third count is 3, then the fourth count is 4. In that way we have to change the count. We have to increase the count 1, 2, 3, 4, or opposite word also possible. We can perform 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in that way also. So for that, increment and decrement both are required, and both are required for change the value. So basically these are the three components. Initialization, that is giving us the starting point of the count. Condition, that is giving us the end point where we have to stop the counting. And through increment, decrement basically perform the counting operation. We change the value from one to another. Okay. So how we do it basically? In initialization part, if I write I is equals to 1. So here we have taken a variable I through which we are going to control the loop, and the initial value of I is equal to 1. Okay. Now if I apply a condition, the condition is I less than equals to 10. That we have to check. Okay. So that means our starting point is 1 and our ending point is 10. We have to count from 1 to 10. So to reach from 1 to 10, basically we have to increase the value 1, then 2, then 3 and so on. So here we are basically using the increment operation, that is I plus plus. So these are my main three components. First one is I equals to 1, then I less than 10, I plus plus. So how we can control by using these three components? So first is I equals to 1. So we will start from 1. Then we will check that the value of I is satisfying the condition or not. It will check the value of I is satisfying the condition or not. Okay. So when the value of I is 1, so it will be I less than equals to 10. That means 1 less than equals to 10. So the condition is satisfying. The value of I is less than equals to 10. Then it will go to the increment operation. So the value of I will become 2. In the next iteration, the value of I will become 2. So when the value of I is 2, again we have to check the condition that still it is satisfying the condition or not. After changing the value of I, still it is satisfying the condition or not. So when the value of I is 2, still it is satisfying the condition. Then again it will increase the value of I. So it will become 3. It will become 3. Again it will check the condition, it is satisfying. So again the value of I will change and it will be 4. So in that way it will change the value of I. Then 5, then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So when in that way, by changing the value of I, once the value of I will be 10. Once the value of I will reach to 10. Then also the condition will be true. The condition is satisfying because we have used less than equals to. So when the value of I is 10, then also it will satisfy the condition. Okay. Next, again it will increase the value of I and then it will become 11. From 10 it will reach to 11. So now the value of I is 11. Now let us verify the condition. What my condition is? I less than equals to 10. So the value of I is 11. So 11 is not less than equals to 10. So that means now the condition is false. Now the condition it is not satisfying the condition. So it will stop. It will stop. The value of I will no more increase. So basically from where we have started from I. From 1. The value of I 1. And in that way we have reaches to 10. But for 11 the condition has not satisfied. So we are not going to consider 11 because for 11 the condition was not satisfied. So the last when the condition was satisfied, then the value of I was 10. That means this increment operation we have performed multiple times. This condition we have checked multiple times. And how many times? 10 times. Okay. So in that way, by these three components, we can control a loop. We can start from a point and we can end at a point by these three components. And in that way, we can execute any statement multiple times. Now, this looping statement we have divided into basically two categories. The two categories. The first category is entry control loop. Category number 1 is entry control loop. Okay. So in entry control loop, what it is saying? It is saying that the condition will be checked at the entry point of the loop. So every loop has a body. Body means if the loop condition is satisfied, then it will execute a set of statements, and that set of statement is called the body of the loop. Now this body of the loop will be executed depending on a condition. Now the question is that when we are going to check the condition, before executing the loop or after executing the loop, body of the loop. When we are going to check the condition, before execution of the body or after execution of the body, depending on it, basically we have categorized. So in entry control it is saying that before execution of the body of the loop we have to satisfy or we have to check the condition. If I say this box For example, this is our classroom. This is our normal classroom. Okay, and this classroom has only one entry point. This is our entry point at the classroom. Now at the entry point, here we have applied a condition. Here we have applied a condition. But the condition is that every student should come to the class in proper uniform. Every student should come to the class in proper uniform. If any student don't have proper uniform, he or she will not be allowed into the class. So here we have applied the condition at the entry point. Now what this person will do, when student 1 will reach, when student 1 will come at the entry point, this person will check the condition. This person will check the condition that this student is satisfying the condition or not. Okay. So what the condition? Proper uniform. So if the student has proper uniform, he will be allowed to enter. If proper uniform is there, if not, then he will not be allowed to, not allowed into the class. So at the entry point, basically we have applied the condition, and here we are checking the condition. To enter into the class, we have to satisfy the condition. If we cannot satisfy the condition, we will not be allowed to enter into the class. So this is for the first student. When the second student will come, the same thing will have repeat. When the third student will come, the same thing will repeat. So that is, to enter into the classroom, we have to satisfy the condition. Now the same way, if I just consider this classroom as the body of the loop, if I consider this classroom as body of loop, okay, and here we are applying the condition. So that means to enter into the body of the loop, we have to satisfy the condition. If we can't satisfy, the body of the loop cannot be executed. That is the process. Now I will show the flow chart of entry control loop. So the flowchart is basically like this. So there are three components are there. So we have these three components. Initialization is there. We have the condition and we have the increment decrement, and here it is the body of the loop. Now, if you just look at the flowchart, the first initialization will be done, and in any loop initialization is done only once. Okay. So after initialization, we are verifying the condition. We are verifying the condition. If the condition is true, if the condition is true, then the body of the loop will execute. Okay. And if the condition is false, it will get out of the loop. If the condition is false, it will get out of the loop. So if the condition is true, it will execute the body, increase the value of the variable, and again it will verify the condition that I was saying. When the first student will come, it will verify the condition. If verify the condition, so here the first student comes. If the condition verified, if okay, then enter into the class, okay, and go to the second student. For the second student, again we will apply the condition. Again, if it is true, allow. If not, get out of the. So in that way basically the entry control loop works. So here you can see the body, to execute the body of the loop, the condition has to be true. To execute the body of the loop, the condition has to be true. If the condition is false, then the body of the loop will not execute at all. So if I consider the value of I, here in the initialization I have taken the value of I is 1. Okay. The condition is I less than 5. Some statement is there in the body, we have something, for example, I print the body, we have printf. I want to print the value of I. Okay. Then I plus plus. So this is my initialization, this is my condition, this is the body, and this is the increment. So all the components we have as per the format. Now if I execute this flowchart, or if I execute this sequence of statement, what will happen? First the value of just I am executing according to the flowchart. First the value of I is 1. Okay. Then it will come to the condition. So what the condition will be, true or false? So 1 less than 5. So obviously the condition is true. 1 is less than 5. So it will enter into the body. It will enter. As the condition is true, it will enter. Then it will print the value of I, that is 1 now. That is 1 right now. Okay. Then the value of I will be increased. Then the value of I will be increased. So with the increased value of I, that is 2 now, increased value of I, that is 2 now, again it will come to the condition. So this time the condition will become 2 less than 5 or not, because the value of I has increased. So the value of I is now 2. So 2 less than, again it is 2, so it will print the value of I, which is 2 now. Then the value of I will be 3. For the value of I equals to 3, again it will come here. Again it will come here. So the condition is now 3 less than 5. Again it is 2, so it will print 3. Then the value of I will be 4. Okay. Then the value of I will be 5. So when the value of I is 5, the condition is 5 less than 5. So this condition is not true. This condition is not true, because 5 is not less than 5. 5 is equals to 5. So when the condition is false, then it will get out. That means then the body of the loop will no more execute, the increment will no more done, and it will stop the loop. It will stop the loop. So basically what we have got the output 1, 2, 3, 4. So how many values has been printed? 4 value we have printed. How many printf statement we have execute? Only 1. That is the loop. So this printf statement we have executed 4th time. This printf statement we have executed 4th time. But for that we have not written the printf statement 4th time. We have written the printf statement only once, but by using this loop, concept of loop, we have executed this printf statement 4 times. Okay. So this is called entry control loop. This is called entry control loop, where entry into the body of the loop is restricted by a condition. Another situation I am telling, in case of entry control loop, if the value of I stored 10, the value of I is 10. So the condition is I less than 5. Everything is same. Here the value of I is equals to 10. So my condition is true or false. So when the value of I is 10, the condition is basically 10 less than 5. So which is false? Which is false. So when the condition is false, obviously the body of the loop will not execute. The increment will not be performed. It will directly come out of the loop. Okay. So what output we will get? Due to this, we are not getting any output. Due to this value of I and due to this condition, we are not getting any output, because the condition, the first time when we are executing, the condition is false. First time when we are executing, the condition is false. Okay. So when the condition is false, the body of the loop is not getting executed. So for the first time, if the condition is false, the body of the loop will not execute and we are not getting any output. So that is entry control. Here you can see that with the false condition, we cannot enter into the body of the loop. To execute the body, we have to satisfy the condition. Means not a single time. We cannot execute the body of the loop with the false condition. Not a single time it is possible. Every time we have to satisfy the condition. That's why it is called entry control loop where the entry into the body is restricted by condition. Okay. Now this is all about the entry control loop. The second category is the exit control loop. Okay, the second category is exit control loop. So from entry control loop and from the name exit control loop, easily we can assume what is going to happen. In exit control loop, basically just opposite. We are going to verify the condition at the exit point, not at the entry point. Okay. So if I say the same situation, that this is our classroom, which has entry point and this is the exit point. Which is the entry point, that is the exit point. So this is for example the entry point. This is the entrance and this is the exit, and this is our classroom. Okay. So here at the exit control loop means we are going to apply the condition at the exit point. That means here we are going to apply the condition. Here we are going to apply the condition. So entry is not at all restricted. Entry is not at all restricted, but exit is restricted. Okay. So how the exit is restricted, that I will show now. So when the student 1 comes to the class, he will enter into the class. It will enter into the class, no problem, because here we don't have any condition. Now the student may be in uniform, may not be in uniform, because we are not applying any condition. No one is there at the entry point to check the uniform. So all the students will come into the class. All students will come into the class. They are may be in uniform, may not be in uniform. But after the class, when they will exit from the class, here the condition will be checked. Here the condition will be checked. Okay. And when we will check the condition, if the student can satisfy the condition applied, that is uniform, the condition is uniform. If the student can satisfy the condition, then the student will be allowed for the next class. If not, then the student will be not allowed in the next class. So that is the way how we are controlling the exit. Exit control means we are not stopping the student to get out of the class. But what we have restricted? We have restricted that the student who is not in proper uniform can attend the first class, but from the second class he will not be allowed, because we are checking the condition at the exit point. So at the exit point, if we can satisfy the condition, then only we go for the second class. If we cannot, then we cannot go for the second class. But first class is not at all restricted. Everybody can attend the first class. So that is all about the exit control, how we are controlling the exit. Now similarly, if we can represent it in the form of flow chart, what will happen? All the components must be there. Component number 1 is initialization, that should be there. So I am just writing here I for the initialization. Okay. Now after initialization, the body will be executed first. Then we will perform the increment or decrement, whatever it is, according to the program. Then we will apply the condition here. Then we will apply the condition here. Now, if the condition is true, then again it will get to the body of the loop, and if the condition is false, it will get out of the loop. If the condition is false, it will get out of the loop. So basically what we are doing, you can see in entry control loop we have applied the condition before the body, but here we have applied the condition at the end. That's why it is exit control. Now the working process will be same. If the value of I is equal to 1, okay, the body is printf %di, then we are going to print the value of I plus plus, okay, and here the condition is I less than 5, same condition. So the same condition that we have taken in case of entry control loop, here also we are taking the same, that is exit control loop also. Now the value of I is 1, sequentially it will execute, the value of I is 1, then it will print the value of I which is 1. So now the value of I will increase, that is 2. The value of I is now 2. So the condition is 2 less than 5, because the value of I has become 2 due to the increment. So the condition is true or false? Obviously the condition is true. So if the condition is true, again it will go to the body, that is printf. So and it will print what? The I. So that is 2 now. So it will print 2. Okay. In that way, same way. 2 it will print, then the value of I will be 3. Again it will verify the condition which is true. Again it will print the value of I. So in that way it will print 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 it will print. Okay. After that, after printing 4, the value of I will increase and it will become 5. Then the condition will be 5 less than 5, which is false. 5 is not less than 5. So when the condition is false, it will stop the execution. It will no more print the value of I, or the body of the loop will not execute again. So same output we are getting here, that is 1, 2, 3, 4. But this process is called exit control process because we are verifying the condition at the end. Now but then the same output we are getting. The working principle is same. But what is the difference between entry control and exit control? That you will understand if I take the value of I is 10, for example. That's the same example we have considered in the entry control also. Okay, the value of I is 10 and the condition is I less than 5, that means the condition is false. When the value of I is 10, so it should be 10 less than 5, so the condition is false. So let us see what happens. So when the value of I is 10, what is the next statement? The body. The next statement is body, and in the body what we have? We have the printf statement. So that means the printf will execute because we are not applying the condition before. So to execute the printf statement, we need not to satisfy any condition. To execute this printf statement, we need not to satisfy any condition. We can execute it. So the output we will get 10 first. Then the value of I will increase, and here the value of I will become 11. It was previously 10, now it becomes 11. Now here we apply the condition 11 less than 5. So the condition is false. So when the condition is false, it will get out. That means the printf statement will no more execute. But what output we have got? 10. We have got the output 10. If you can remember the entry control, in case of entry control we have not got any output because the condition was applied before the body. But here we are applying the condition after the body. That example I was just saying, that in case of entry control, if we check the uniform before entering into the first class, if I check the uniform before entering into the first class, then the students without uniform will not be allowed into the first class. A student who is not in proper uniform will not be allowed into the first class. But in case of exit control, in the first class we are not restricting anyone. So the student who is in not proper uniform will attend. He will not be allowed to attend the second class. So here we are doing this. The first printing operation is not being restricted, but the second printing operation is restricted due to this condition. So that is all about entry control loop and exit control loop. So there are different way how we can represent it in term of programming entry control loop and exit control loop.